Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news, and there's some big news coming out in the last hour, and that is that Harry Kane has handed in a transfer request at Spurs and that Manchester United have made inquiries amongst other teams for Harry Kane. So is this the sort of signing you want to see at Manchester United this summer? We'll be talking about that. It is big breaking news. Is it suitable for United? What would it mean for United? We'll also be talking about Fabrizio Romano, who's done an interview today talking about the midfield for United, centre-back situation for United, and the Sancho situation for Manchester United. So lots to get involved in tonight. Would you want Harry Kane? We'll talk about that in a moment. But first of all, let me just say a big shout out to Surfshark, who are sponsoring our video today. I'm sure you remember Surfshark sponsoring our videos in the past. Surfshark is a virtual private network, a VPN. One of the great things about Surfshark is their data protection services, making sure my private messages, photos, videos and other sensitive material is protected. My personal favourite feature though of Surfshark, and the thing I think you will find most interesting, is that you can change your location on Netflix or any other location specific based streaming services so you can watch them from anywhere in the world. So if you're in the UK, you can change your location on Surfshark to America and watch Netflix from what American Netflix has to offer. You can use Surfshark across as many devices as you like, even if they're used at the same time, and it's available on every device such as Android, iOS, Linux, Amazon, Fire TV. I could go on, but I think you get the picture. And because Surfshark are super nice, they're giving United Stand viewers 83% off. That's 83% off and 3 months free when you use the code United Stand. Link is in the video description, as I say. 3 months free and 83% off. So if you've never tried a virtual private network before, or you have, 3 months free. Try it out and then you get 83% off. Thanks again to Surfshark. Now let's get on with the video. And remember, as I said, the link is in the video description for Surfshark. So let's talk about Harry Kane. What is the situation with Harry Kane? Well, I will read out the situation from Harry Kane. Harry Kane has told Tottenham he wants to leave this summer. Manchester United, Manchester City and Chelsea have all expressed an interest in him. Kane's preference is to remain in the Premier League and wants to have his future resolved before the Euros. Spurs are now making inquiries about replacements, their first indication that the club are willing to consider the feelings of their talisman. And this is coming from Sky Sports. So look, it's very, very interesting about Harry Kane. And in some ways, I'm just going to be very honest from the start here. I'm going to say straight away, I don't want you, Harry. I don't want you, Harry. You know, I'm going to treat you like that other Harry. I'm going to put you under the stairs, Harry Potter. You know, I don't want you. I don't want Harry Kane, because the money it will take for United to sign Harry Kane, we will completely neglect every other area. Right wing, centre-back, CDM, forget about it. Everything will be spent on Harry Kane, over £100 million, and I'm not. Are we that club? Is Harry Kane going to make Man United win the title next year? No. He's just a better striker than what we have. And we've got Cavani and we've got Greenwood and we've got Martial, and I'm more than happy with those options if we build the rest of the team. I don't want Harry Kane. I'm not that sort of a fan. I don't know about you, but I'm not going to get hyped by Harry Kane. I think he's the best striker in the world. One of the best strikers in the world, but I think he's up there. His goals and assists this season, he's an unbelievable striker. And somebody's going to get... I mean, look, if he goes Chelsea, forget about it. They'll win the league. They need that. If he goes to Man City, there'll be a better team for it. But unfortunately, this is why we're Glazers out. Because we ain't a Harry Kane away from going on and being one of the best teams in the world. We're a Harry Kane away, we're a Jadon Sancho away, we're a Declan Rice away, we're a Rafael Varane away, we're a backup right back away. We've got numerous positions that we need to build. And if you want to spend 125 million or 110 million pounds on Harry Kane, then I'm sorry, I don't think football's for you, because that's our transfer budget gone on one player. And that one player, he ain't going to make us the team you think he's going to be. So I don't know what everyone else thinks. It doesn't mean that we won't sign him. And I think Man United will be having a few conversations, but I don't want Harry Kane. I don't, because I don't often not take anybody else's opinion into account, but I'll read them. But what I'm saying is, I would be highly frustrated if we bought Harry Kane, because one, it would show that we've always had the money to buy that sort of a player, and two, it would show the idiocy of this football club to go and spend that money on one player. when we're crying out for a midfield and we're crying out for a centre-back, and to go and spend it all on one player would be infuriating. But that's probably why we might do it, especially now Cavani's just committed himself to another year. If Kane goes to City, it doesn't matter what we do in the summer. City will be champions again, may even do the treble, says Richard Stainer. Well, we can't buy players to stop City. You know, I've got to say, Richard, I don't disagree with you, but what are we doing? We're going to buy a player so City doesn't get him. They'll just go and get a different striker. We can't do that. The best way for us to stop City is not to sit here and go, oh, if City get Harry Kane, it's the end of the world. The best way to stop City is to build a fucking team. We need to build an 11 of ourselves. We're not catching City because we've got McFred in the midfield. We're not catching City because we've got Lindelof playing with Maguire. So, you know, if you want to catch City, build a bloody team. Would you lose Axel, De Gea, Pogba and Martial if it meant we got Rice, Varane and Sancho, says Joshua Bowater? No, I wouldn't want to lose De Gea and Pogba and Martial for that three, to be fair. Why buy Harry Kane when we just extended Cavani's contract, says HKN? Exactly. Aguero is going to leave for Barca, so let's go ahead and monitor him to Man City as they can buy him easily. We just need Varane, Rice and Sancho, says Ronald. And I think the only thing that would stop Kane wanting to join City would be the fact that Aguero was warming the bench all season, says Wilco. Well, look, on where Harry Kane's going to go, I think that the best place for Harry Kane to go is Chelsea. Because I think if Kane goes to Chelsea, he stays in London, he probably wins the title. I think Chelsea with a Harry Kane in it would be a brilliant side. But can he go from Spurs to Chelsea? I don't think he can. Could he go to City? Yeah, I think at City he'd be very good. But City never spend more than near £100 million. They've never done that before. So would City spend £100 million on a player? They've never done it before. I don't know. Would United do it now they've got Cavani and they need to buy other players? I don't think United will do this deal. I really don't. I think they would like to, but I don't think that they will now that Cavani's committed for another year. So where does Harry Kane go? Because I don't think Harry Kane puts it out there that he wants to go unless he knows there's somewhere for him to go. You know, I've always, in my mind, when a player puts in a transfer request, they don't do it blindly because it could backfire, especially in a COVID transfer window. If you're Harry Kane and you don't know whether anyone can afford you, do you go, yeah, I'm going? It's a bit like Paul Pogba. I don't think Pogba's saying he's going because he doesn't know if anyone can get him. Harry Kane must have had an indication from somewhere that he's going to go. Now, I personally think that Harry Kane, Real Madrid would be a good move, but I don't think Real Madrid have got the money for it. So where Harry Kane's going to go, I don't know. His contract runs until 2025. His price would be insane, says Ollie. Exactly. So I don't know where he's going to go. I think he's outpricing. I think Man City would. I think City would be very expensive, a big deal for them. Chelsea would do it. I think Chelsea would do it and not have a problem with it. But would Spurs want to sell to Chelsea? Would Kane want to go to Chelsea? And with United, we've got to spend that money elsewhere, 100%. But look, I'm not going to pretend that that Harry Kane at United wouldn't be a brilliant signing. But can I just also say, I think he's 28 in the summer. 28 in the summer is no age. But look, let me just tell you this about Harry Kane, because I think this sort of thing is very, very important. Let me just tell you this about Harry Kane, because not a lot of people look at this sort of stuff. And, you know, I looked at it with Cavani, and so I was proved right. He's had 2 or 3 injuries this year. Harry Kane, right, in the last year, he's had 2 ankle injuries and an unknown injury. Granted, they've only kept him out for 5 games, so it's not major. But in 1920 season, he had a thigh muscle rupture, which kept him out for 67 days and 14 games. The year before that, he had ligament injury, 9 days. Torn ankle ligament the same season, 8 games. He's had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ankle injuries in the last 5 years. And he's turning 28. So, by all means, if we already had Varane at the back and we had Rice in the midfield and we had Sancho and we were coming into this transfer market, I would say go and get Harry Kane. But we haven't got all those players, and I think that it's just a no. It's a no on every single level. We don't and cannot spend that amount of money on a player like that when we haven't got a team. We just can't do it. It makes no sense to me. I wouldn't go as far as to say we don't need him. I'd just go as far as to say it's not the right deal for us right now. He's a bloody brilliant player. He's a world-class player. But he's not the player for now, in my opinion. I don't know what you think before we move on to what Romano said. Harry Kane to PSG, says HKM. Well, I was talking about that on That's Football. He must have an offer in place. Somebody must have said, we can afford you. You've got to push the move. Because that look at Sancho last summer. Somebody just said, I think it was Wrestle India, Independent. They just said, well, Jadon Sancho was in the same position last year. He was, and he never put a transfer request in. Yet, Jadon Sancho knew we wanted him, but he didn't put a transfer request in because we couldn't sort the fee out. So for Harry Kane to basically publicly say he doesn't want to be here at Spurs anymore, and apparently there's another story saying that he hasn't, but I think there's definitely something going on for it to be out as publicly as it is. He clearly knows someone's got the money, and he clearly knows that money's enough. So I think Harry Kane is going to leave Spurs. I just don't know where he's going to go. If you think from a different point, this is a good one-off opportunity for United to sign a top 3 quality striker in the world. That has to be taken into consideration, right, says Akshay. Well, Akshay, you've got every right to say that, but I would say back to you, why do you want to buy a striker like Harry Kane? What are you going to do with Cavani that you've just said, don't go home to South America, Edison. Stay here and be loved by the fans while sat on the bench. So that's one reason, and it's a very big reason, and it's probably the biggest reason. How can you get Edison Cavani to sign another year and then go and shit all over him by signing Harry Kane? Because that's what you're doing. You can't play Cavani on the wing. You can't play Harry Kane and Cavani up front. It's Cavani. He's our number 9. So you can't do that. You simply cannot do that. And also, I'm sure United knew that this was a possibility 2 weeks ago. So why sign Cavani? They're not going in for Harry Kane. The second thing is, as I'd say to you, Akshay, as well, is you say it's a great opportunity. What's going to happen to United next season with Harry Kane up front? Where are all these chances going to come from then? Where are we going to create all these chances when we've still got a dead midfield and we've still got a defence that needs protecting by a back 6? How is Harry Kane going to prosper in a team like that? So I can't see this deal. And thirdly, why would you spend everything you've got on a striker when you need to improve your midfield and your defence? So it wouldn't make any sense to me. Kane, do a Sol Campbell and come to Arsenal. We can hire Emery to teach him better English. Well, one thing I think that Spurs can definitely rest easy with, there's no way he's going to downgrade. So he's never going to go to Arsenal. RFTP says, correct me if I'm wrong, you wanted Sancho for 120 million. Kane is a defo to buy. I mean, look, mate, well done. Well done for having an opinion. But are you listening to anything I just said there? You would spend £120 million on a striker. You would shit on Cavani that everyone's been going, give it to Eddie. And what are you going to go? Fuck off, Eddie Cavani. I mean, what are you going to do? That's what you're basically saying. I can't believe how flippant some of you are, how mercenary some of our fans are. Oh yeah, let's get Kane, fuck Cavani. Don't worry about McFred. Don't worry about the defence. Let's go and get Kane. I can't believe how naive and silly that sounds. Like, we are, it's unbelievable. The Glazers must be rubbing their hands together going, this is why we win. This is why we win. They want us to spend a lot on Harry Kane. Shirt sales, everything. I mean, where's the depth of football intelligence there? Where is it? Like, you're going to crap on Cavani, you're going to put him on the bench when he could be back home in South America. You're going to spend everything on Harry Kane, and you're not going to improve your midfield, your wing, or your centre back. I'm blown away. What do you think about Harry to Liverpool? Says Clumsy. Wow, why have Liverpool not been mentioned? I mean, I suppose Liverpool don't get mentioned because it's a lot of money, but maybe Liverpool could be in the race. If we sign Kane, who's going to take the penalty? Says Lewis. Kane would take it. It'd be part of his contract. You could sign Kane only if you buy a top CDM, but even then, you still need a centre-back. It would be a perfect deal if the Glazers invested in the club earlier, like decent owners, says Mitchell Costello. I agree with Mitchell. I think if we already had Sancho, Rice and Varane, I'd say let's get this done. Kane for 120 million or Varane and Rice for about 120 million. We all know what the Glazers would rather do, and it's scary. Shirt sale over league points. And that's a great point from Joshua. If I'm offering you up Kane for 120, or I'm offering you up Varane and Rice for 120, if you're saying Kane, wow. You say where there are 3 chances coming from, but United are third in created chances in the league, says Monkey Slayers. And also we need a right winger, CDM, and a centre back. But actually, hold on a minute. Third most chances created in the league. Haven't we scored the most goals in the league already? You're not making sense, mate. What I'm saying is, we don't need those Harry Kane goals. Scoring goals has not been a problem for United this season. Cavani's not missed 50 chances. We haven't got Timo Werner up front. If you're Chelsea, you're going, oh my God, Harry Kane would be perfect because look at Werner. We don't need to spend £120 million on a striker. We've scored plenty of goals. You've just proven my point. We've scored plenty of goals. Midfield and defence is our problem. Look at the goals we conceded last week. 3 of them were preventable. Is Harry Kane going to do that? Is he going to go in goal? Is he going to go and run the midfield? No. We need to build the team properly. We need a right winger, a CDM and a centre-back. But if there is a possibility to get Harry Kane, we should try. He's one of the best strikers who creates scores. See, Arjun, I don't know where this mentality comes from, but it's great that we're getting both sides. I'm loving it. Because I thought, personally, nobody would want to do this deal because they're intelligent enough to realise that Harry Kane can't solve world peace. And he can't make Man United win a title on his own. We are not a striker away from winning the league because we've already scored loads of goals. That's not our problem. Sell Martial, De Gea, Lingard, Matta, Jones, etc. and buy Declan Rice, Sancho, Trippier and Kane. I understand Cavani has signed, but we need depth. Wayne, you didn't even buy a centre-back, so I don't know what you're on about. Hi Mark, hope you're well. What are your thoughts on Brozovic as a CDM and would you take him this summer if we bought Sancho and Varane first, as James Wilson? And Carson Badley says Kane has had injuries in the past. If he goes to City, then he'd be replacing Aguero because Aguero is injury prone as well. Says Carson. If Kane leaves, could Son also go? Would you be interested in taking Son over Sancho? He's already Premier League proven. Well, Hearth, remember that Son plays predominantly off the left. Harry Kane and Cavani can do a Van Persie and Rooney. No, they can't, Sean. Good try. And if United... I mean, do people actually watch football? If United have 150 million for Kane, then there is no way we can't afford Sancho and Rice. Possibly a centre-back with player sales. No excuse, says Craig. And if it's all we buy a player from Spurs, then we need to buy Højbjerg. Kane doesn't make any sense for this year. Thoughts, Mark, says Ahmed. Well, look, I'm just going to add something in here. We won't sign Harry Kane. So all you lot who would, and I'm disgusted. I'm absolutely disgusted by some of our fans that they're like, yeah, let's get Kane. 2 weeks ago, you were like, give it to Eric Cavani. Pass him the ball and watch him score all the goals. I mean, you may as well grab his arrow and shoot him in the back. You bloody traitors. I mean, I can't believe it. Literally, in the last 2 weeks, he's signed a new contract at Manchester United. And there are fans of our club going, get Kane. Yeah, fuck the midfield. Oh, we don't need to set. Get Kane. What about Cavani? Get Kane. Get Kane. I mean, it's just mad. It's absolutely mad. We're not signing Harry Kane, by the way. So if you are one of those people going, get Kane, you're making yourself look a right prat because we're definitely not going to sign Harry Kane. For more than one reason. For once, I hope City outdo us on the Kane deal. We are scoring plenty of goals and Martial was out of form the entire season. Centre-back and CDM are the priorities, says Sakin. Well, look, we've spoken about Harry Kane. I think it's quite funny how many of you think you would like him because we're not going to get him. And you should have some loyalty to your players. Like Cavani has decided to stay in this country rather than go home because basically he's been begged to stay here. And I'll tell you what, if we did buy Harry Kane, I'd be disgusted with this football club manipulating a striker like that, of the quality of Edison Cavani, who's worked really hard, and we've begged him to stay, and then we go, oh, sorry, you won't believe what we've done, Eddie. We wanted you to stay, but we've bought Harry Kane, I can't believe it. You're on the bench. You know, you can't do that. And we won't do that. And we won't buy Harry Kane, if we're honest. We aren't going to win trophies yet, and that's what Kane wants to do, so that doesn't make football sense to him. City or Liverpool, says Simon Cooper. And Kane would also stifle Greenwood's development, since after Eddie leaves, it should be Greenwood's time, says Diego. We're not going to sign Harry Kane. I mean, look, we're talking about it in a hypothetical situation. Never say never, of course, but it doesn't make sense on so many levels. It really doesn't. Even the Greenwood thing, which we've not mentioned. Also, there was a very good point from Simon Cooper there. Why would he want? If he wants to win titles, why would he come to United? Because we're not a Harry Kane away from winning a title. I'm sure Harry Kane would like to play for United, but if I was a Spurs fan and he came to United, I'd be like, well, you're leaving your boyhood club to go to Man United to win titles. Have you not been looking at the Premier League table for the last few years? So I think if Kane's going, he's going to go somewhere where he can win titles. And if Kane is handing in a transfer request, he already knows where that is. I think it will be either Real Madrid or Manchester City. Because I'd be stunned if he went to Chelsea. But those two would be my bet. I don't know what anyone else thinks. Surely the club will have known when Kane wanted to leave. I'm sure Sancho is still United's priority. Yeah, Ginger Fury, I think we're going for Sancho. Sancho, Basuma and Varane will cost around 30 million more than buying Kane would, but what would make us a much better team and make us a Champions League winner, says Jack Rudd. And I can see the Glazers doing it for business reasons to attract the sponsors back, says Gary Turner. Yeah, but you know what, Gary? I don't think things are that simple with the Glazers anymore. I don't think United's fan base are that stupid anymore. I think if the Glazers said, Harry Kane, here he is. Let me tell you a story about the Harry Kane. And, you know, they even have a song for him. we would welcome him because that's how classy United fans are. But I don't think they'd be like, Glazers, you're the best around. Nothing's ever going to let me down. But that's not going to happen because I think United fans would go, right, we've just spent everything on Harry Kane. Great. This is totally about selling shirts. And I liked that point that somebody said. Joseph Borg says that Kane and Cavani would be frightening. Yeah, not frightening in a good way. I think you think it would be frightening in a good way. Kane and Cavani would be fucking terrifying because we'd be shit. How the hell are you going to get Cavani and Kane in the same team? I've got to see this. So you're going to bench Rashford and Greenwood now? What happens to Bruno? What team plays with two forwards like that? I mean, have you actually watched football? Have you seen where Harry Kane plays? He's the last man. I know he links things up, but he's a number 9. Have you seen where Cavani plays? He's a number 9. So what are we going to do? Play with two number 9s? Yeah, good luck with that. What, we're going to still have two number 9s and McFred? Bloody hell, we're going to get relegated, mate. Be interesting though. We might score 5 and lose by 6. Buying Kane is like when Juve bought Ronaldo, and look at the state of Juve now, says Eric. It'd be a bad deal for us. Don't get me wrong, I feel United need to prioritise and get a CDM and a centre-back. It would be nice to get them, but still think CDM and centre-back are needed. We do need them, Arjun. But no, that comment before was quite interesting. If you think with Harry Kane, does anybody actually know how much do you think Harry Kane would cost? Because if it's, I know he's got at least 2 or 3 years left on his deal. Spurs don't need to sell. I think 125 million minimum. Now, Scott Patton makes a good point here. Could Poch convince Kane to go PSG as they are almost guaranteed to win the league a few times, and there's previous connection, of course? Well, I think PSG have got the money. But remember, Sky is saying that he would rather stay in England. And Andy and Bruno says, do you think Kane could be going to PSG back working with his mate Poch? I think it's the most logical place for him to go. I think it'd be a good place for him to go. I'd love to see an England. I've got to say, I'd love Harry Kane to go to PSG. I don't know what you think, but I'd love to see him go to PSG because I love seeing foreign British players abroad. I loved it when Bale did it. You know, I love Sancho doing it. I think it's great. But I don't think he'll go PSG, even though they can afford him. PSG can afford him. But I mean, maybe we're missing something there. Maybe that's it. You know, maybe that is the deal. Because one thing about Daniel Levy is, and we've totally missed this, 2 things actually. Icardi's been awful for PSG as well, says Wendy as well. Do you think Kane would go there? Just to trigger you, Mark, United needs Lloris more than Kane, says Aditya. And Mark, we have won the league most after the BTEC, Man City and Liverpool's. How are Spurs bigger than us? We are also invincibles. You're not anymore, Zane. You're very far from invincibles. Why would United go for Kane at that point? Why not just go for Haaland about the same price, 6 years younger and no injury records, as the hair is different? Yeah, exactly. And also, but look, let's just say this, right? Lewandowski has ruled out a move to PSG also, says Jack. I think the PSG one is interesting, but I'm only going off what the news is that he wants to stay in the Premier League. But let me just say this. Daniel Levy, I remember Carrick, I remember Berbatov. Bloody nightmare to deal with. Shrewd businessman, doesn't piss about, gets good deals. There is no way they are going to lose probably one of Spurs' best ever players in their history for 60, 70, 80, 90 million. He's going for over 125. Because he's got 3 or 4 years left on his deal. He's smacking his prime. He's probably just had the best season of his career. This ain't a cheap deal. This is 100+ million. Now, this is not a deal United can do because there'll be other clubs involved. This deal is already in place, I think. Somebody has said, we'll pay it. Spurs have said, this is the price. They've said, we'll pay it. Harry Kane's chucked the transfer request in. So maybe it is PSG. Maybe we found it out by deduction there. So that's another reason why we can't do this deal, because it's going to be ridiculous money. Now, if it's £125 million for Harry Kane, riddle me this. Would you take Sancho? Sorry, let me just read this. Don't want to miss the super chats. Mbappe plays up front for PSG. No way he'll go PSG, says KMW. Well, yeah, I mean that's what I thought as well. Daniel Levy values Harry Kane at 150 million, says Troy. Well, yeah. Would you take Sancho, Basuma, and Torres, or Varane, Rice, and Sarr? Choose one. I'd take Sancho, Basuma, and Torres. Yeah, over Rice, Varane, and Sarr. Yeah, I would. But listen to this. If Harry Kane goes for 125 million, right? Harry Kane's... What have I just done? What's gone wrong here? What's gone wrong here? There we go. It's all messing up. Harry Kane goes to PSG or Real Madrid or whatever for 125 million, right? United get Sancho for 75. They get Varane for 50. That's 125 million. You get Basuma for 30. That's 55 million. You can spend 155 million and get a top quality centre back, a top quality right winger, and a very good midfielder. Or you can get Harry Kane. But Sancho's going to go for about 75 million. Varane's going to go for about 50 million. Sancho and Varane for the price of Kane. Come on. Use your brain. Come on. Sancho and Varane for the price of Harry Kane. And you've already got Cavani for another year. And Greenwood will be a year older. And you might even be able to get in the Haaland race. Come on. Let's not be stupid. We're not getting in this race because it makes no bloody sense for us to be in this race. I think, as I said before, if you're Man City or you're Chelsea or you're Real Madrid and you feel that you're a Harry Kane away from being unstoppable, then you go and spend everything you can on that. But we're not in that situation. I think we all want to be in that situation. We want to be in the Harry Kane conversation because we want to think that we're Harry Kane away from winning a title. But we're not Harry Kane away from winning a title. We're a centre-back, we're a CDM, we're a right winger, we're a backup right back, and then maybe a striker in a year's time from winning a title. But if you're Man City, Aguero's going, let's add Harry Kane into this amazing squad we've got. Makes total sense. You're Chelsea, Werner, add Harry Kane in, we probably win the league. So for Chelsea and Man City, I would do everything I could to get Harry Kane. For Manchester United, not right here, not right now. Mark, Harry Kane is not leaving the Premier League, says Aaron. If he's not leaving the Premier League, I think it's Man City or Chelsea. I mean, I don't know about Liverpool. I think he'd do a good job for Liverpool. I think, you know what, I actually think Harry Kane with Salah and Mane instead of Firmino would be unbelievable. But have Liverpool got that sort of money? I don't know. KMW10 says, Rice and Varane priorities for me this summer. What other centre-backs are on the market? Because we need someone with pace to play alongside Maguire. Well, I want to talk about what Fabrizio Romano was saying, actually. But I think we've just about exhausted the Harry Kane subject. Harry Kane to Leicester. Yeah. Lampard to Palace talks, says Paul. I've heard about Lampard going to Palace for quite a while, actually. It'd be interesting if he does that. But no, official says Mark is talking so much sense. That must be a newbie. But I almost got caught up in the hype myself. Don't make sense to get Kane. Look, when it first I've got to be honest, when it first came out, I was like, oh, that's interesting. But, we've just spent, 20 minutes going through the conversation. And to be fair, there are some people saying, yeah, let's go and do it. But for every person who says, for every good reason for buying Harry Kane, there's about 5 or 6 why it won't happen. So, look, I hope they don't do it. Mark, who do you think other than Lingard this summer can we realistically sell? And I stress realistically because Jones ain't leaving, says Earth Junkie. Realistically, I think David De Gea and Paul Pogba. I don't want either of them to go. Are we even linked to a CDM at the moment, says Bendy. No, I've spoke about this before, we're not. Let me bring in what Romano said. So Romano's done an interview today on another podcast. I mean, look, since we had Romano on this channel a year ago, he's everywhere. Every week, he's everywhere. They seek him here, they seek him there. He's everywhere. Mark, don't want Kane. We got Martial, says Robert McCarmack. Robert, you love Kane. You must be so excited, even though it's not going to happen. But Romano's been talking again, and basically what he said 3 updates. Jadon Sancho. He said, United are interested and a deal can be done very, very quickly, as it could have been done last summer. However, if Liverpool can sell players, they'll be interested, and don't take your eye off Chelsea. So Liverpool, Chelsea and Manchester United for Sancho. Keep an eye on that. I'm not convinced Chelsea will go in for Sancho, to be fair, but certainly I think Liverpool will try, and obviously United. So, and of course, if I was to say to you, Sancho or Kane, what are you going to do? Live chat, people in the comments, what would you do? Sancho or Kane? Also, I didn't realise we've got 15,000 watching, so please smash a like on the video whilst you're watching that. And remember Surfshark in the video description. Just want to grab something here. Smash a like on the video. What would you go with? And not surprisingly, the live comments is absolutely full of Sancho. There is a few Harry Kanes in there, but mainly Sancho. Suspiciously, there's somebody called H. Kane who just keeps putting Kane. I wonder if Harry is watching. But it'll be interesting. Mark, why would Kane leave Premier League where he can break records to go to PSG, which doesn't suit his lifestyle? PSG players live a party life, says Sidant. Yeah, I don't know where Kane's going to go. I think he'll stay in the Premier League, but it will be very interesting where he might go. What I was going to say is that, the Sancho situation from Romano today is that he will probably come back to the Premier League and that Manchester United have got a very good chance of signing, which we know. He then went on to talk about centre-backs. Now, I mentioned this morning. He said that United are interested in that Romero guy who's at Atalanta. They're also interested in Botman and Koundé. Now, I said this morning, with Romano, I think it's very obvious that he's thinking United can go and get Sancho like he did last summer. And Romano is normally well sourced on good big transfer deals. At this moment in time, Romano doesn't know what centre-back United are in for. And I remember this morning I said I'd love to know what Romano knows about the centre-back situation. Well, I think we know now. He doesn't know what centre-back we're in for. He said we're scouting Botman, we're scouting Koundé, but there's a big list of centre-backs that United are looking at. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. Jesse wouldn't bother with Kane. Worried about City getting him though, says Jesse. I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about that. I think the older you get, the less you get worried about that. Every summer of my life, I've seen teams do good transfer business and go, shit, we're in trouble next year. I remember when Chelsea got Shevchenko and I was like, oh my God, that's it, we're screwed. I think they got Shevchenko and Ballack in the same summer and they were already a good side. And I was like, oh, that's it, it's over. And it wasn't over because, Harry Kane could go to Man City and do his ankle ligaments and be out for 6 months, in which case they've just spent a load of money on somebody who's injured. So, look, I don't buy into that. Like I said a few minutes ago, if you're scared of Kane going to Chelsea or Spurs or City, you've got a good reason to be, because I think he'd be a good player. But Harry Kane going to Man City is not the reason Man City are going to win the league next year. The reason Man City are going to win the league next year is because no other club is managed as well as Man City. And the reason Man United are nowhere near Man City is because Man City have got an amazing first 11, an amazing bench. We haven't even got a first 11. Harry Kane is not the factor in why we won't win the league. Man City are just getting better and better. They're dominating. They're spending well. They're building. The structure is perfect. Manchester United have got more holes than a hedgehog's pillow. And that is why we are not going to catch City. So I think sitting there going, oh no, City are going to get Harry Kane and it's going to ruin everything. No, it might ruin everything. But you know what's ruined everything? The Glazers have ruined everything because they haven't spent... You can't solve everything in a summer. And the funny thing is, the Glazers probably will buy 2 or 3 big players this summer. And a lot of people will get excited and they'll buy the shirt. It won't be enough. It's not enough. One sunny day doesn't make a good summer. And the reality is, the reason City are now dominating is because they've been investing for over 10 years. Constantly, summer after summer after summer after summer. Buying, selling, buying. Building an infrastructure over a decade that now they've got this bench that's better than everyone else's first team. So, look, if you want to worry about what City are going to do if they get Harry Kane, maybe worry about the way this club's being run, because the structure is not right. Don't worry, guys, I'm coming to United, says H. Kane. I knew someone would do that. We should ditch Kane and go for Sancho just so he don't go to Liverpool. Would also love to have Ndidi instead of Basuma or Rice, says Anaban. So, yeah, Romano talking about the centre-back situation and saying that we are looking at a lot of players, but he doesn't actually know who we are looking for. So that's quite interesting in relation to that from Romano and the centre-back situation. Jesse says, that's my point, Mark. I'm not literally scared, just joined. It was just a point of what level of dominance it can take them to. Hey, Jesse, look, they nearly won a treble this year. They can definitely do it next year. And I think that from United's point of view, we need to... hold on a minute. There's a statement coming out here. Simon Stone says this on the Harry Kane situation. Simon Stone has said, statement from Spurs, our focus is on finishing the season as strongly as possible. That's what everybody should be focused on. Well, he's going. Bye-bye, Harry Kane. He's going, because you could put a statement out saying, look, imagine this. Amazing servant to Tottenham, but never once showed up in the huge games. Time for Spurs to invest in a striker who knows how to win trophies, says Bertie Mac. And look, this isn't the Spurs channel, but there is a link to United, so we've got to follow it as well. And I still got more of what Romano said to talk about. But buying Harry Kane would be like buying a flashy car when you need a home, says Bradley. It would. It would be like turning up to your house in a Ferrari, getting out of it, and then getting into a tent. It's not... we need to build a house. You're right. But so Spurs have come out and put in a statement out saying that their focus is on finishing the season and that's what everyone else should do. Harry Kane, according to Sky Sports, has put a transfer request in. That Spurs statement, imagine if Paul Pogba, Sky, had Romano saying that Pogba's going to leave United in the summer. Imagine if United would put a statement out to say we're just focused on the rest of the season. I don't think they would do that. You might put a statement out to say it's not going to happen, but this is clearly going to happen. Harry Kane is clearly going to leave Spurs. And the intriguing thing is, it can't be United. It cannot be United. What if it is United? And for me, I'd be appalled whilst excited, if that makes any sense. Because there is no doubting that Harry Kane is a great player. He's not a bad signing, but he is a bad signing because how could you treat Cavani like that? I mean, you've literally begged him to stay and now you're going to bench him. Centre-back, CDM, right winger, priority positions ignored to bring in £125 million striker. Where have we got this money from and why are we doing this? Why would Kane come to United if he wants to win titles? Because, I'm sorry, Harry Kane's probably quite intelligent about football and he would know that he, on his own, is not going to make United win a title. I mean, how contradictory would it be? I'm going to Man United to win titles whilst Pogba's there saying, I'm leaving United because I want to win titles. It's contradictory. So it can't be us. It can't be us. But he's definitely going somewhere. And I think that Spurs statement is very clear. Look, if we've got 500 million to spend and we're going to buy Kane, Sancho, Rice and Varane, happy days. Happy days. Monday, Sunday, happy days. Tuesday, Friday, happy days. Yes, but we're not going to spend 500 million pounds, are we? So I think we're all realistic that if we spent 125 million on Harry Kane, that's the end of the summer transfer window. Let me just finish up on what Romano said. So, right, we spoke about the centre-backs, we spoke about the strikers. Romano doesn't know what centre-back we're looking for anyway. Although we are looking at a centre-back, and we're looking at a lot of centre-backs. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? I would like to think that Man United would know what centre-back they want by now. And I think they do. Lynn Hall says it's Chelsea, it's obvious. And you know what? This is not a Spurs channel, but let me just say this. If you were Spurs and you haven't got a lot of money to spend, if I was Man United and we didn't have a lot of money to spend, right, and we had David De Gea in goal, and we had Dean Henderson, and somebody wanted to pay us £90 million for David De Gea, I'd take the 90 million. Because although I think De Gea's better than Henderson, I don't think Henderson's crap. And I think if De Gea left and Henderson went in goal, all right, he might make a few mistakes, but for 90 million and we haven't got any money, it's worth doing it to spend that money on the team. There's a drop-off, I think. Some people disagree, but you've got £90 million now. Now, Spurs haven't got any money to spend. If Harry Kane goes and they replace Harry Kane with, I don't know, Danny Ings, someone like that. Look, Danny Ings is not Harry Kane, but he's a striker who scores goals. And then you spend that 125 million on 3 or 4 players, then for Spurs, that might be a good thing. Is Kane a better player than Cavani? Well, yes, but not. It's not a massive. It's not a massive difference for us. It's not a massive difference for us. Anyway, so Romano was talking about Paul Pogba. and he said that United are basically not sure about what's happening with Paul Pogba. And he basically said, let's see what happens with Pogba and Van der Beek, because if one of those goes, they'll probably buy a midfielder. So, I mean, it's a funny one, isn't it? I was trying to sort of think about that before the show tonight. So Romano's basically saying, let's see what happens with Pogba and Van der Beek, because if Pogba goes, they'll have to buy a midfielder. But I was thinking, well, so what are we saying? That we'll buy a CDM if Pogba goes? Or if Van der Beek goes, we'll buy a CDM. And yet we've never played either of them in that position. So I don't think Pogba leaving or staying, or Van der Beek leaving or staying, should have any sway on whether we buy a CDM. Because actually a CDM would help Pogba and Van der Beek. If one of them leaves, we need an attacking midfielder. So, yeah, I personally think we're heading into a transfer window that's going to be really, really interesting. And I don't think it's going to not impact on Manchester United. Whether we get Sancho or not, whether Pogba goes or not, whether De Gea goes or not, there's 3 huge deals there. On top of that, you've got Lingard, you've got a centre-back, you've got maybe got a midfielder coming in. You've got, there's so much to happen. Worrying thought, chuck Jesse into the deal. I think he suits Spurs, just saying, says Gary Turner. Well, we spoke about that this morning, Gary. Sell Pogba, Martial, De Gea will cover the Kane transfer fee, says Anish. Yeah, I can't believe it. Mark, what's your take on fans at Old Trafford, says Smitty? It's good. It's good to have fans back. And this window will be one of the most interesting in years, says Munier. Well, I think I actually agree with you, Munier. I think it is going to be a very interesting transfer window. And really, it shouldn't be because of the amount of money there is to be spent. But I think it will be a really interesting one. Yeah. 90 million is more realistic price for Kane. No club will pay 120 million. Ultimately, it'll be a 90 million next season. Well, Rahul, I'll have a little wager with you. Bet he doesn't go for anything less than 100. He doesn't need to. Doesn't need to go for anything less than 100. He's on a 5-year deal. Spurs don't need to sell him. Spurs could say you're not going anywhere. This is the intriguing thing about this whole deal. Spurs have not denied it in that statement that they've put out. And Harry Kane has obviously had something to do with it coming out that he's leaving. So Spurs clearly have an offer on the table that they want to take. And if you know anything about Daniel Levy, he won't just do something on the cheap. So I think somebody has put out a very, very big deal. Welcome to the Members Club, Jesse Dyer. Please smash a like on the video, by the way. Get your questions in. I think it'll be 100 million exactly, or he stays. Yeah, I mean, look, he might go for less than that. I mean, contract runs out in 2024, says Rishab. That's assuming he doesn't have the option of another year. But even 2024 is 3 years. 3 years on your deal is still a lot. So I think he won't go for less than 100. I can't see him going for anything less than 100. Ehab says, welcome to the Members Club, Jesse. Yeah, thanks for joining the Members Club, Jesse. You can do that by clicking the button. Not doing Twitch tonight, if anyone's asking about that. Mark, would you sell Martial if someone pays 40 million? You know what? I'm sure Paul Robinson, our moderator's in there. We were talking about this a few weeks ago. What is the transfer market now? I mean, has there been a reduction in prices because of COVID? Yes and no. I think some clubs are being realistic, but other clubs, there's not an email that went out to every club in the world that said, right, because of COVID, you've got to reduce everybody's price by 25%. There are still people that want the prices before COVID and will hold out for those prices. But there are some clubs that will go, yeah, we're going to be realistic. The thing about the transfer window is that, Real Madrid might be like, we ain't letting Varane go unless somebody gives us 50, 60, 70 million because that's what we want, even though we've got a year left on his contract. Man United have got Paul Pogba. I think Paul Pogba's more valuable than Varane because he's a midfielder, and that's the way it works. But United might let Pogba go for 40 because he's got a year left on his contract, and they'd rather get money than let the contract run down because they're desperate for money. Whereas Real Madrid might go, no, we want 60 million or we'll keep him for another year and he can run his contract down. And in that year, we might get him to sign a new contract. So it's different for everybody, isn't it? It is different for everybody. Martial plus 60 million for Kane. Wow, Brutus with probably one of the most sensible conversations there about how United could get hold of Harry Kane. 60 million plus Martial is probably quite fair, says Sati. But it still doesn't solve the problem of We've begged Cavani to stay. If we've begged Cavani to stay, we've offered him first team football. What, you're going to put Harry Kane on the bench? I can't see how you get Cavani and Kane in the same team. I know Cavani used to play on the wing for PSG and sometimes for Uruguay, but he ain't that player in the Premier League. So I don't see how you do that. There is no team. Burnley do it. Barnes and Wood. But you don't play two strikers. They're so... I mean, Cavani can't play every game. I get that. Of course I get that. But what if he doesn't get many injuries next year and he's available to start over half our games? Even if it's only half our games he's available to start with. I'm available for the Anfield game. I'm picking Harry Kane. Fuck off. Why did I stay here? So I don't think people understand what it's like to have a number 9 who's a number 9. Who's your number 1 number 9? Because they play. And they'll play more. Look at Bruno and Van der Beek this year. Bruno's played loads. Van der Beek's hardly played at all. But, there's a good point been raised there. There's a very good point been raised there. We're talking like, well, Kane's clearly... And please subscribe, by the way, bottom right-hand corner. I think this is just the start of the summer transfer window we're going to have here. And if you want the transfer chat and you want to get involved, subscribe, bottom right-hand corner, because we'll be covering it all for you on this channel. We've just spent the last 45 minutes talking about transfers. A lot of it's been about Harry Kane. And we've been talking about the price being so excessive. And you're basically saying Man City have never spent £100 million and they're going to have to do it. And you're basically saying Chelsea are going to have to spend... Chelsea will do it, but would Kane go from Spurs to Chelsea? Probably not. And United won't do it because it doesn't make any sense. And we're all talking about 100 million plus. But we've not been talking until that previous comment there about swaps. Aditya, welcome to the Members Club. And, it was Romano on this show over a year ago saying that swap deals will be the big thing in the future. Well, Spurs clearly know Kane's going to go. And if Kane's going to go, that's because Spurs have said you can go. Now, for Spurs, even if they get 125 million, everyone knows Spurs has got 125 million. They knock on Southampton's door for Ings and they go, yeah, we want 50. Very quickly, your Kane money's gone. So Spurs aren't stupid. There's got to be something going on here. There's got to be something going on here. What if he's going to Real Madrid and Real Madrid are giving Spurs 3 or 4 players? What if he's going to Man City and Man City are going to give them 60 million plus a couple of players? What if he's going to Chelsea and Chelsea are going to give them Hudson-Odoi, Tammy Abraham, Gilmore and, some other great, I think we might be missing something here. I think we're talking about price, and maybe Spurs are doing a deal with somebody here. That Bale could be going back to Tottenham as well. Yeah, he could be part of something. Paul Robinson says, yeah, but they won't be able to afford all those wages. Depends what players that they're getting though, Paul, doesn't it? Hudson-Odoi, Tammy Abraham, and a couple of Chelsea players, probably wages-wise, aren't going to be on a hell of a lot more than what Harry Kane's on at Spurs. Could be Lingard and Martial. Could be Lingard and Martial for Kane. Who knows? I definitely think there's something going on, and I definitely think that Spurs are onto it. We'll have to wait and see. Man United fans aren't diehard and will love Kane, says Aziz. And Kane is on 200k a week and Hudson-Odoi is on 120k a week, says Marvin M. Okay, all right. So Jesse Lingard's on 100k a week. Anthony Martial's on 250k a week. So that's not going to happen, is it? That's 350k a week. So, Spurs aren't going to take that on. But there might be something. There might be something going on. We'll have to wait and see. I don't think he's coming to United anyway. I agree with Tyler. We don't want Kane. We want a CDM and a centre-back. And Jadon Sancho will probably come as well anyway. And look, I didn't answer the question. Would I rather get Sancho or Kane? I'd rather get Sancho. For a number of reasons. Age would be one. Position would be another. We've got Cavani. We need somebody to provide him with the service. Harry Kane would push Cavani out, so it doesn't make any sense. So that'd be the second reason. Price, Sancho will be about 50 million cheaper than Kane, and that 50 million could be spent on a centre-back. Longevity, I think that Sancho is obviously going to be at United for a lot longer than Kane would be. And ceiling would be my fifth choice. I think Sancho's ceiling at his age now is higher than what Harry Kane's would be. And Harry Kane's a top-class striker. So I would go with Sancho over Kane comfortably. Injury record's another one as well, yeah. But I agree with LC. Ultimately, I don't think Harry Kane is good business for Manchester United. I think it's great business for Chelsea. I think it's good business for Man City. I don't think it's good business for United. And look, you know, we all take the piss out of what's his name. Dreams can come true. Look at me, babe. I'm with you. What's his bloody name? Gabriel at Arsenal. Now, everyone would say Gabriel's crap. I'm glad we didn't get him. But I think if we'd got Gabriel, he might have done a better job at United. I also think Thomas Partey at United would have had a better season than he had at Arsenal. Maybe Pepe at United would have a better season at United. So, you know, maybe Dan James at Arsenal would be a revelation. Maybe Van der Beek at Arsenal would be a revelation. I think what's good for the goose isn't good for the gander. And what I mean by that is, I think Harry Kane is a brilliant player. And for Chelsea or Man City, he's the icing on the cake. For United, we haven't built the cake. We're just buying the icing. And I think that, you know, different players work well for different clubs. It's not one size fits all. So, yeah, I think Kane's a fantastic player, but I don't think it's a good deal for Manchester United. I really don't. But there'll be a lot of links. I just wonder how quick it will take for somebody to grab where he's going, because somebody, you know, it's going to come out. I mean, look, they're saying that Daniel Levy values Harry Kane at 150 million and is resistant to allowing him to join another English club, which goes in contrast to what we're hearing is that he wants to stay in the Premier League. But Kane won't get what he wants. And I think the story changes. If we know where he's going, is he staying in the Premier League or is he going abroad? If he's staying in the Premier League, then obviously United have to be a factor. And The Athletic have come out and said, look, Harry Kane has been on Manchester United's list, but other positions are more important and realistic, which is the truth. If he goes abroad, I think it's PSG. If he's staying in this country, I think it's probably Manchester City. Somebody said something about I'm just trying to see if there's anything out there about Kane. 1 minute. Okay, so Talk Sport, Talk Shit, to take it with a pinch of salt, are saying that they understand Man City is Harry Kane's preferred destination. Look, I could tell you what I know, and you can take it with a pinch of salt, whatever, but I was basically told a few weeks ago that Real Madrid, Harry Kane, if he ever leaves, he'd go there. So, look, Talk Sport are saying City. So a lot of people think PSG is obvious. If it's swap deals, I think everybody's possible, even United. But I've always been told Real Madrid for Harry Kane. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But I'm sure it's a player that will get linked to us. I would say that if he's going to Man City makes a lot of sense because they do need a striker. And he's a Premier League striker, and I can totally understand why Man City would want him. As I said, he's the icing on the cake of Manchester City. For Manchester United, we haven't even made the cake yet, so it doesn't make any sense. He will go there and win trophies as well. Of course he is. But you know, in some ways, if Harry Kane went to Man City, I wouldn't cry. I've seen people on Twitter going, if Kane goes to City, wrap up the title for the next 10 years. And I'm like, you defeatist shits. Who are you? Come on. Like, you know, all right, we might not be able to stop them, but the challenge should be to stop them. If you know what I want to happen with Kane, let me just say this. If Kane's going to City or he's going to Chelsea, I want it to happen super fast. I want it to happen so fast it's over within a week. Because then we'll have the whole summer to know Man City have added Harry Kane to their team. And then, if United just get Sancho, we can sit back and go, the Glazers are a bunch of tight-fisted, shirt-obsessed twats. Because Sancho ain't enough. You know, if Man City buy Harry Kane and we buy Sancho, that's not enough. So the challenge is set there, isn't it? We'd have to go out and get Rice, Varane and Sancho to have any chance. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I'm certainly not going to cry if he goes to Man City. That's not how life works. You know, you've got to fight hard. You've got to work hard. If somebody gets something better than you, do you cry and go, oh, they're better than me? Or do you work hard? And we've got to work hard. Man City are buying one player because their team is amazing. Man United need 4 or 5 players. Let's go and get 3 this summer. Let's start working. But I don't think I don't think he'll end up at City. I don't think he will end up at City, but we'll see. But I really hope it happens really, really quick, because that way we don't have to be linked to him. Couldn't we use Lingard and Martial plus 60 million for Kane? I've lost patience with Martial, just a thought, says Liam Devon Red. The one thing I don't want to happen is I don't want this to run and run. I don't want this to be the big story of the summer, because we will get attached to it. It's like when Hazard went to Chelsea. It was Man United, Chelsea and City. And we never had a chance. But we were still always part of it. Is he going to United? Is he going to Chelsea? Is he going to City? And he went to Chelsea. I don't want the Harry Kane deal to be one that goes on all summer, that United fans get hyped about, and then it doesn't happen. I really hope it happens quick. I think it will happen quick, because I think that the fact that it's come out that he's asked to leave, the fact that Spurs haven't denied it, means that somebody somewhere has put an offer in that Spurs are happy with. So hopefully it'll happen quick. What are your thoughts on Dalot? Is he another that needs to leave, or do you see a future for him at United after his spell at Milan? Says KMW. I don't see a future for Dalot at Manchester United, because Solskjaer doesn't. I think Solskjaer's already shown that he doesn't rate Dalot, so I don't see a future for him. Is Kane to Chelsea verging on Sol Campbell territory? I'd be crushed if he went to them, says Alex. I don't think he would do that, you know. The only way he will go to Chelsea is if Spurs are happy with it, because I don't think Harry Kane's that sort of person. I mean, he's England captain. He's very proud of playing for Spurs. I think if he's going to go, he's going to go somewhere where he's going to say to Spurs fans, I'm literally going here because I want to win titles. I've given you a lot of time. I'm going here to win titles. And it will hurt Spurs, but I think if he goes to a City, they can understand why he's going to do it. If he goes to a Chelsea, he's basically shitting on his own fans. The only way he would do that is if Levy says, we're happy for you to go to Chelsea because we're getting 3 or 4 players in the back from Chelsea. So I can't see that. Thanks everyone for watching. Smash a like on the video. Really enjoyed the video tonight. It's flown by. Let's see what tomorrow morning's news show brings at 10 o'clock. And it's also match day tomorrow. The transfer window's hotting up. Let's hope United are in the pants nice and warm as well. We'll see. Kane is clinical around the box. Then again, so is Mason, says Nick P. And then that bombshell. John has just subscribed as a member. Thank you very much, John. Speak to you all later. Take care. Morning show is going to be interesting. I think, as I said, the transfer window is just getting going. Please do check out the link in the video description for Surfshark as well. First 3 months free, plus 83% off. Virtual private network. Give it a try if you've never used one before. They're really good. You know, you can protect your identity when you're online, so people can't track what you're doing, and you know, all these cookies and everything. I sound like a cookie monster. Links in the video description. Give it a try. 3 months free as well. United Stand is the code. Check it out. Thanks for watching. Thanks to Surfshark. Thanks to all of you. Most importantly, I'll see you in the morning.